Hello, friends. Welcome, welcome. So, for our breath work this week, I've been trying to bring pranayama to you every week. We're going to look a little bit at the basic beginnings of Agni Sara. We've looked at it before, but it's been a little bit, so I just kind of want to come back to it. We'll start on our backs and then we'll try to move upward with it, so to speak. So, you're going to lie down on your back. Feet hip distance, right? Feet on the ground, knees bent, feet hip distance. And then go ahead and just simply, right, lie with your arms by your side, palms up, and just begin to come into the breath. Bring your awareness into the breath. And wherever you are, great, right? We always start with where we're at. And so just notice if you tend to be breathing more in your chest, in your abdomen, a little bit of both, what's moving, what's not. You know, can you release the tension in the upper body and in the lower body that are not needed in order to breathe? Pardon me, geez, nap time. And then begin to move into that soft belly breath, right? That's that one where the belly is so soft. I'm not trying to pull air into my belly. I'm not trying to push my belly up or down or any such thing. I am simply letting my belly be so soft that as I breathe, what technically happens is the diaphragm moves gently down and it displaces some of the internal organs of the digestive system. So that will have the rise of the belly on the inhale, right? And then when I exhale and the diaphragm releases, relaxes, and moves up, everything comes back into that position, that other position. So I'm simply observing that. This is breath work, just this, right? Doesn't have to be more. Now, when you exhale, right, I want you to actually pull the belly down, and you can even let your low back move down into the ground a little bit if the belly is able to pull down enough to do that. Don't do it from pushing into the feet. Don't do it from, trying to like get all these other muscles involved. Only if it naturally happens from pulling your corset down towards the spine. When you inhale, you'll soften, the belly will rise. So still soft belly breath underlying all of this, right? We're just adding a contraction. We start the exhale and then we start to engage the abdominals and we pull that belly down towards the spine. And for now, we're allowing that spine to move down towards the floor. Now the next piece is when you've exhaled the next time, I want you to hold the exhale out and think of pulling your abdomen down towards the spine, but also up towards the head, right? And it'll start to hollow the belly out potentially. And I'll try to show you an example in case you need to see it. That's my inhale. When all the air is out. I can't talk at the end there while I do that, right? But so once the air is out, I pause, I leave the air out, and I gently pull the belly down to the spine, but also up towards the crown of my head to get that hollowing out. So I'm going to go ahead and do about 2 more, but maybe trying it for yourself as well. How long do you hold the air out? It's going to be different for everybody. You don't want to hold it out so long that you have to get air in. You've held it out too long. If you've had that, well, I call that the vacuum effect, right? So maybe it's just for a moment. Maybe it starts to elongate the further you get into the practice. I think I've shared, but I used to take pranayama workshops with master teachers, and those things were 3 hours long. And not that I would necessarily do just this one thing for 3 hours, but you would take something and build upon it, and then you would sit in that breath for 15, 20 minutes, right? So now the next stage, right? Try to get the same effect without lowering the low back down to the ground quite as much. Right, so I keep my pelvis a little more stable, my spine a little more stable, and I try to isolate it in just my abdominal cavity. Maybe try to do one more of those, and if it doesn't work for you or you can't find it with as much ease, go back to rounding the lower back. It's not a big deal. You're not a bad yogi or a bad person. You're not going to be a better person if you can keep your spine stable, right? Okay, so you can just keep doing it on the ground like we're doing. This is one of the places that's, I'm going to say, really accessible for many people to find that movement of the abdomen. If it's okay to come on up, the next place we're going to try it is from a standing position, right? And in that standing position, I stand on the side because you can see the hollowing of the belly a little bit better, I think, right? And we're going to stand with our feet hip distance. Our knees are still a little bit bent. I'm going to rest my hands on my thighs. If you've got slippery pants, you could always just grab the pants. I sometimes will do that if my pants are too slippery, right? And on my shoulders, you know, I'm not trying to slam them up to my ears, but they are coming up a little bit. So don't worry too much about that. So starting out similar, just let the belly be soft. You'll feel it move down away from the spine, I'll say, on the inhale, and then it gently moves back towards the spine on the exhale. There's a little more weight moving down now, so it might not feel like it moves back as close to the spine, but it still has that natural rhythm. And then when you're ready, exhale, pull the belly back and round the low back. This time I'm going to say it's up towards that sky where the wall and the ceiling meet behind you. And do that again. And now add the pause and possibly try to play with that hollowing out. It comes at the very end. Exhale everything out first. And then again, I can't talk when I go into the vacuum or the hollowing out. So, but that's where we put it, at the very end of the exhale. And then, you know, if you want to try, after you've done that a few times, not rounding the low back as much. Or maybe do that about 2 more times. Whichever version you're playing with, on your back, on your feet, rounded low back or not rounded low back. And then when you feel complete, come on up to standing. Pause for a moment, right? Eyes open or closed, but that soft gazing point, soft drishti. Turning in for just a few moments, noticing the effects of that practice. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Inhale. Exhale, bow your head in. And gratitude for giving yourself this space and time. Namaste. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, I apologize now that I'm telling you at the end, but
You know, it's advised that you do this on an empty stomach, not when you've just eaten, you know, a 1-pound burrito. So I like to do my breath work in general. I do mine in the morning before I have breakfast is when I try to do mine, but any time where you're not having just eaten would be great. Okay, be well, friends.